So, Mark, did you see that dude over at the Venetian with his giant slushy, two-handing it, having a good time?
He was really struggle busting that carry when he first stood up. I didn't know if he was going to make it. Then he figured out, like, oh, I can just carry it with one hand. I'm like, bro, that's why the strap's there. Put it on.
Yeah, you got your merce. You got to do it the right way. Greetings from Morocco, my last show on the road. Let's start with some carpet coverage, Mark. Aria, they've been changing their carpet for a while. We've already talked about that. They're in the middle of it. Chris Holmes, you got to give him credit for being there, documenting it all along the way. But he saw the machine they used to remove the carpet, and this is what it looks like.
Yeah, it seems like the fun part of the job. You get to drive like a little forklift Zamboni type of thing and just rip it instead of the old way of kicking it or pulling it, and you just kind of go through it real quick and rips in nice strips and probably easy to take out. And they do this. It's impressive. I mean, they have it down. They do it so much, but they're able to swap out carpet without interrupting too much in a couple days, even sometimes within an area in one day, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah, I mean, they're professionals at this, do it all the time, move slot machines all the time. Sometimes you'll walk into a casino or you're staying there and you wake up the next morning and there's entire banks of slot machines in different places. And it's impressive how they move these casino floors around. And I never saw this before, so I was happy to see it. Speaking of Zamboni, Mark, Hockeytown USA is continuing 2-2 in the Stanley Cup Finals. Hopefully the Golden Knights will bring it home on Sunday when I get back to Vegas.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool if they did it in front of the home crowd and the whole city will light up. And, they started out hot and it's become a really good 2-2 series. So we'll have to see how it finishes out, but it's been better than the NBA Finals, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's been a nutty series over there in New York, some of the stuff that's happening there. But in Vegas, the whole city embracing the Golden Knights as usual, and hockey fans from everywhere else saying that we're not a real hockey city makes no sense to me, but we'll move on. I'm sure we'll be covering the championship in just a few days. But let's talk Sam Boyd's first casino, Mark, the Pass. We talked a few weeks ago when Circa Sports was pulling out of the Pass. And for people who don't remember, this casino was called El Dorado for the longest time, and Boyd Gaming sold it. But what's interesting about this casino, Mark, is it's Sam Boyd's first casino. Sam and Bill Boyd bought this in the early 1960s. They owned it. Eventually, it went to Boyd Gaming, but it was separate for a long time. And then DeSimone Gaming, owners of Railroad Pass, bought it in COVID, changed it to the Pass, and now they are giving up. They are keeping the hotel that they built next door. But the greatest news of this is that it's being bought by Rainbow Club and Emerald Isle, the owners of those casinos, the ones that we talk about handing out food. All three of those casinos next to each other coming under the same brand.
Yeah, more free pizza for everybody, right?
Yeah, and maybe some renovations. And this is by far bigger. I don't know the difference in square footage, but it's definitely a bigger casino than the other two. So bringing that same sort of spirit into the Pass, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's nice that they're all under the same ownership, the same loyalty program. You can go between them, whichever one you like the best, and it's just the synergy that it will bring, and hopefully they update it and bring some new life to the property. And it's cool that it stayed kind of in the family of that area.
Yeah, and just a reminder, Cadence Crossing, Boyd Gaming's new casino, is just down the street. So big shifts for them with that. I know it's downtown Henderson, but if you haven't been there, those are pretty cool casinos. They're very quirky, very neat. I'd say the Pass would be my least favorite of the three, but hopefully that will change. But yeah, go get your free brownies, your free pizza, whatever it is, whenever you're there, they're handing out something.
Yeah, and the Rainbow Club is not a strip club, even though it looks like a strip club on the
He says
outside.
that every single time. So I wanted to follow up on the last show. We talked about Caesars and MGM and the deals. I did indeed say billion, Mark, even though it sounded like million. I don't know what happened there, but about $18 billion for both. I was getting a little nasally, I think, happened. But one thing that we didn't really talk about, we talked about the land, and you pointed out correctly, MGM doesn't have any land, but we didn't kind of differentiate Caesars because Caesars has sold off the land of a lot of their properties, but they actually still own quite a bit of land in Las Vegas and elsewhere. For example, they own the Vanderpump, Flamingo, Horseshoe, Link, Paris, and Planet Hollywood land, plus a ton of regional casino land, and that adds a ton of value. And if you break up all the rooms that Tillman Fertitta is getting for this, it's $1.2 million per room, and you really can't build a hotel. I think it was about $1.1 million per room for both Fontainebleau and Resorts World, but both those buildings were partially complete. So if you look at it in that perspective, Caesars looking more valuable every day.
Yeah, and that kind of makes sense. When we were talking about this, I said you would think MGM would be worth a lot more, just nicer properties, more customers, all of that stuff. But they have more assets over at Caesars, and that's because of, in part, because of this land that they own. We always joke about them selling it out from under their feet, but that's more MGM than Caesars. They still do own most of their Las Vegas properties. Of course, they got rid of their worst, which I can't blame them for.
Which one is that?
Harrah's.
Oh, I thought thought you were going to Caesar's Palace, and I was getting a little worried there.
No.
But of course, a lot of their casinos are owned by other people, but they do have a substantial amount of assets, and that's probably more attractive if Fertitta decides to sell one of these, being able to sell the land and the operations.
Yeah, I think that's a big plus for him if he's trying to get out of debt, and that's an easy ripcord to pull, and you could sell off a couple pieces, whether it's in Vegas or outside of Vegas. They have a lot of options there if you can find a willing buyer. But it does go to show that maybe he kind of understands it, and we did get a lot of positive comments after that video of people that really like the Golden Nugget brand, think that the program is great and that he does a good job there. And maybe some of the negative comments were more about political stuff versus the way he runs his casinos and what people feel about those individually.
In a second, we're going to talk about Caesar's Ultimate Steakhouse Tour. I'm going to tell you if it's a good deal or not. But before we do that, I would like to invite you to subscribe. Thousands of you are watching right now. You're not subscribed. Just hit that button. Thanks in advance. So Mark, this popped up. Chris Holmes, again, I saw him post this, and they just started this Ultimate Steakhouse Tour, which over 48 hours, you pay $199, and you get a lunch at Peter Luger and then dinner at Gordon Ramsay Steak. This sort of reminds me of the buffet deal they used to have back in the day. I mean, just the branding of all of it. But essentially, the lunch at Peter Luger is the power lunch that we've talked about. That's $49.95. So that means you're paying $150 for a meal over at Gordon Ramsay Steak. It includes the beef Wellington. I don't really think this is a deal.
No, first off, why are they calling it a tour? It's two things. Like, I would think that a tour would at least be 3 properties. If you had 3 in a 48-hour period for $200, that'd probably be something to be a little bit excited about or interested in. The fact that it's only 2, I wouldn't call it a tour. I think that's weird. But you can get this great deal for the lunch at $50. Beef Wellington, everybody loves it, or at least a lot of people, it's their favorite thing to go get in Las Vegas. I think it's around $80 if you get it just by itself. So I don't know, are you coming up with like another $70 there? And the other stuff, do you even want that? It's a kind of a fixed menu. I don't know that this is a deal at all. It seems like you'd end up spending more than if you just went and got the things that you wanted anyway.
And I think Gordon Ramsay has expanded the beef Wellington, so I think it's now at Gordon Ramsay Burger and at the pub at Caesar's Palace, maybe elsewhere. And I think you're right, it's right around $75, $80 at those places. I think it's more at Hell's Kitchen and Gordon Ramsay Steak. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see this, but maybe you do. But while we're talking about it, let us know in the comments, did you do that buffet pass they used to have, the 24 hours? I know people used to be strategic about when they started it, going to all of them, the old Carnival World Buffet, of course, but Paris Buffet. There were so many decent buffets back then.
Yeah, I had a buddy that was like, started it right at the time dinner started somewhere, or I forget what the setup was, but he's like, going here for first dinner, and it's going to be the best one. And then we work our way back, breakfast, lunch, then another dinner. And if you get in there by this time, then you get the full dinner. I don't know. It was crazy, but they had it all figured out. And I think you could use your Diamond Celebration $100 towards part of it too. So that was his plan.
I think it lasted until COVID. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, RIP. So while we've lost a lot of things over the last 6 or 7 years, we're losing even more. Let's start with this. Four Queens just turned 60 years old on June 2nd. And they have a bunch of promotions for earn a certain number of points. You get a t-shirt, and you can also, with 1,600 points, earn a 60th anniversary jeweled keychain. I have not seen what this looks like yet, but I hope it looks like the jeweled horses.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for. I'm like searching through all of the social media stuff they posted looking for this keychain, because it is kind of like the top prize that you're going for here. You have to get the 1,600 points to get it. So it's got to be something kind of cool, not some little cheap keychain that you would see for a couple bucks at a store. So I'm really curious to see when they release this, what it looks like. 1 per account. They're making a big deal about it.
Well, let's talk a really big deal. John over at Hugo Cellar, he is the sommelier. I think he told us he was the first sommelier in Las Vegas, or one of the first few, but he's been there 41 years. And we got to meet this guy a few months ago when we did our recent tour. Super cool guy. And he is retiring on June 22nd, an end of an era.
Yeah, he put on like his medal and said he was Flavor Flav, and it just seems like he has a really good personality and has some fun with it. And everybody that works there that we interacted with, that's kind of the vibe you get. And there's so many that have been there for so long that they know each other well and joke, and a lot of people go back just to see the same faces over and over. And 60 years for Four Queens, 41 of them, 2/3 of it, he's been there. That's insane to think about. And you don't really see that anymore in Vegas or anywhere. When you grew up, parents and grandparents used to stay with the same company for their entire career. That doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah, we often talk about when people retire. We talked about the old pit boss at Ellis Island who recently passed away. These people who make Las Vegas great for generations, and he is one of them. Didn't really know a lot about him before we met him, but just instantly, just the charm. And after 41 years to still have that passion, it really showed when we were there.
Do you think they give him a light bulb?
They got a lot of those beautiful sparkly light bulbs outside the Four Queens, so I think they got to at least do that.
Throw back to like 4 years ago when Caesars gave like their dealer that had been there forever like a piece of the chandelier or something.
Yeah, and hopefully he gets a jeweled keychain on the way out. Let's do it. But let's stay downtown, Mark. Sigma Derby. This is that famous machine, the horse racing machine that many of us saw in casinos all over Vegas and elsewhere in the past generations. And there are newer versions of it that just aren't nearly as fun. But the D and Derek Stevens has kept this last one alive. And there was rumors a couple years ago it was going away. It's become very expensive to find parts, but it's living great. And there was a couple articles about this. One of them said it has a 15% hold, which I thought was interesting, but he's still losing money on this machine because of the amount of money he has to spend on it. But all of that to say, the most Vegas thing is going to happen next Tuesday. It's moving over to Golden Gate. Remember, Golden Gate removed their table games and stuff like that. Maybe this is to draw more people, but it's going to have a parade down Fremont Street. How cool is that?
No, I mean, who does it better than Derek when they're doing a promo for something simple? Most times people would just move the machine from one property to another, not say anything about it. He's doing a whole parade with little horses and all this craziness and hoopla. And it makes it fun, and it's a thing that he's losing money on, and then he's going to spend more money throwing a party to celebrate it. So it just goes to show that he really loves it, and it's kind of a piece of history, something that he's keep going. And you would think as we progress in technology and 3D printing and everything that they'd be able to fabricate these parts for machines like this and make it easier. It's kind of crazy that they find it's hard to source the parts, and there's no way to really fabricate them yourself for a low cost. I feel like that should be something happening now, right? We talk about with the monorail, like why can't we get there with technology?
Yeah, it's like everything has to be fancy and computerized. I mean, if you've played one of the new versions of this and then played that, it's just not the same. And it really holds. I don't know why it's so fun, but it's fun. And even though the house edge is 15%, you don't lose that fast. So I don't know. I just always have loved it. And that whole second story at the D, when they originally opened it, was for those vintage slots. And maybe things have changed a little bit since then. But maybe this is an acknowledgement that Golden Gate needs some help.
Yeah, bring back the dealers that dance and the tables. There you go. Fix it.
Well, maybe not, but at least we're getting this. Let's talk to our next story, Mark. A speakeasy after the 90s, a story made just for us. Saved by the 90s is running over at Close Company at the Venetian. Close Company is that speakeasy in the Via Via food hall there. And this has a whole 90s theme, everything going on. And they're talking about simple cocktails, going back to the way cocktails used to be without all the fancy tinctures and other things that they put into cocktails. So bringing back the cocktail experience to the 90s and nostalgia overload, just like, I mean, everybody wants this these days.
Yeah, but what'd you really think about it? Like, honestly.
I thought it looked fine. It's still August. I think it's cool in that nostalgia sort of way. But I mean, yeah, Appletini. You can get an Appletini anywhere. Honestly, everybody's falling over themselves for our age group because of the way we're aging out. We're still fun enough for Vegas. We're not too old for that sort of stuff. And it just seems like the 90s nostalgia is everywhere. And when I saw the Backstreet Boys at the Venetian and all the people that were there, it kind of reminded me that we love that era so much. We do.
No, and I really wanted to love this. I love the idea. I think that it's a fun idea. We've seen it, the cafe that looked like the Saved by the Bell cafe, they did a really good job of it in Vegas. And I think that was kind of what I was envisioning. And this just seems like they kind of threw stuff up on the wall that was from that era, but it's not really well done. And maybe it looks better in person, but it just doesn't quite feel like a fully thought out thing. They're like, oh, let's put some 90s crap on the wall and call it a day, and people will come in because it's 90s. Similar to like the Blockbuster pop up that we saw, where it just wasn't quite done all the way out. Maybe that's because this is a short term thing and not a long term thing. But we've seen them do pop ups in other cities, in Vegas too, that are going to be shorter term, and they do it really well, really high end. So I think they just kind of fell flat when they go to what they put in there and how it came off looking. Drinks aside, like that's fine, but just the design and decor doesn't feel all immersive to me like they're trying to say it is.
It's a great point because in Vegas we get all types of quality of this sort of stuff, and we've seen that on the show. We've seen really great stuff, and like Area 15, you see these crazy immersive environments. The back to the 90s cafe you talked about is sort of a local place over off Maryland Parkway, which kind of felt Saved by the Bell. And then yeah, that video store one looks so cheap with the fake video shelves and all that. So it does seem like there's varied. I think this is better than that though. I'm gonna die on that hill.
Yeah, that's the bottom. This is right above it. And then the cafe is top notch, I think, compared to all these, except for the big name pop-ups that we see, like Stranger Things, things like that have a lot of money behind it. That's a totally different ball game. But for these littler type of pop-ups, I think that's the ranking so far of what you just said.
So we're back to downtown Las Vegas. So Gateway to Fremont is an account you guys should follow. Loves downtown Las Vegas. I've had the pleasure of interacting with them behind the scenes a little bit. And they've been pushing this idea for the low line. Now, I don't really think that this has a great chance because in Vegas, anything that's really good like this, we don't ever seem to do it unless it's built by a casino or something like that. But the idea is to take that rail line and either bury it or move it and then connect downtown Las Vegas with a low line park similar to the High Line, I guess, in New York City. And when you really think about this, that stupid rail line separates the entire downtown area. And now that Symphony Park has been built up, new museums over there, this is actually a great idea. Wonderful renderings, well thought out. I just don't see that the local authorities, they're too busy extending F1 through 2065.
Make F1 pay for it. There you go. And then everybody will love F1.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, but we don't ever do that for ourselves. But seriously, I wanted to talk about this because it is a cool idea and it's outside the box thinking. And that rail line really does separate. There is a pedestrian bridge at like City Hall, but it's not really that easy to get to. You got to walk south from Plaza. And if that was just a beautiful park, it would be great. Of course, we're not even allowed to have grass anymore in Las Vegas, so I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool and they could pull it off, and it would have people connecting more walkability throughout the area. And you could have vendors and things like that, other stuff, maybe fairs, carnivals, all the types of things in a smaller scale just kind of fit into that area. And it could be really cool and something unique for the city that some other cities have done, but Vegas would put their own spin on it for sure. And then it would just kind of connect everything together down there.
There is a petition that you guys can sign. I'll sign it too. I mean, hey, we need this. The great thing is that you have people like them, like Gateway to Fremont, that really love this city and are championing all of it. And that's a great account to follow for all the updates in downtown Las Vegas as well.
Boring could dig the tunnels for the train, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? And let's close with this. Is Oyo in trouble? Shout out to Jerry who sent us this. That Oyo is a couple payments behind on their taxes. I think about $120,000 or so. Not a huge deal. I think they made their last payment about 6 months ago, but they have a couple payments due. So is this the start of something? We don't know. But I don't know how he found this, if he was just randomly looking at tax records. If he is, he's the nerd like me. I love people like that because that's exactly how I am. But I did double check it. It is in arrears. Not a crazy amount yet, but maybe there's some trouble there.
Yeah, and they're getting hit with what, like $11,000 in fines. So it's not a small hiccup. It's going to cost them some money because of it. And when you think of a casino in Las Vegas, and we're talking little over $100,000, you would think that's not a big deal, and they should be able to pay it fairly easily. The fact that it is behind and they are getting these fines is kind of scary, and who knows what's going on there, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah, we should reiterate, we know nothing more than what's in the public tax records, so we don't know if there's an issue. I did a little research on this, and if you miss 2 payments, I think it starts a 2-year process where eventually the property could be taken from you. But we don't think that's going to happen. Or
bring back Hooters.
It has value.
Let's go. Take it. Yeah, I want it. Hooters.
Is there any Hooters left? I mean, isn't Hooters almost gone too?
Who cares? Somebody will pay and put the name on it. Let's go.
Well, just remember this property is super valuable because it's right next to the brand new A's stadium. I could see, well, we know Bally's can't buy it, but somebody should buy it and do something. Would you be heartbroken if they tore down Oyo and built a state-of-the-art new casino right next to the ballpark?
If it was themed, no. Otherwise, yes.
And by themed, he means themed to Hooters. I don't know, but let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Derek Stevens, that parade. I'm going to try to get there depending on jet lag and how I'm feeling. I'm going to try to get down there to see it, to cover it for you guys. But I also want to see this. I love these unique moments, like when the Crazy Girl statues got moved and stuff like that. There are these one-off moments in Vegas history. Always cool. Oyo, the land, Caesars versus MGM. That guy with that big yard, was he handling it in the correct way? Let us know down in the comments. Next week, we will have 3 shows with both of us, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. I'll be back home in Las Vegas. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody.